Hi there, Gwen one more time. This is the fifth and final video in the series that I have created called Being Unleashed, that is directly related to discussing the topics that we'll be exploring in my 6-month circle, Becoming Unleashed. There are also essays that go with each of these videos. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, there's a link to the essays in down there in the description. And if you're seeing this on my blog, you've already read the essay. Or if you got the email with the essay and the link to this video, you've already got that too. So anyways, in the first video, my eye itched really bad all of a sudden. In the first video, I talked about individuation and what that is, and whether or not it's even necessary for our lives, and kind of the process of it. And then in the second video, I talked about release and releasing our stories of being too much, not enough, all the shame that goes with them, and how the process of release isn't simply, oh, I'm going to set this down over here now and I'm done, right? How it's a much more intense process than that. In the third video, I talked about the goo, or revolution, metamorphosis, change, shifting, whatever you would like to call it, and how the discomfort of that work. In the fourth video, I talked about reclamation and reclaiming those parts of ourselves that we have shoved down, ignored, abandoned, our strengths, our power, our daring to do different, to take risks, to not follow the crowd, to be our own person, right? All of those things. And today I am going to talk a little bit about doing this work in community versus doing it off on your own individually, and or doing it in individual therapy. I am a therapist by training and by practice, so there is that part of who I am in this work. Of course, I do individual work with clients. As part of this circle, I offer a discount to individual work packages for us to work together during the time of the circle. So I see a therapist myself. I deeply believe in the importance of at different points in our lives, for different parts of our lives, doing that therapeutic work in that container of us and the other and the therapist, and 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 the the growth, change, shifting, whatever we want to call it, that can come from that. Processing of trauma, all of those things, right? Processing of grief, any and all of that. I deeply believe in that. And, and I deeply believe in also the power of community, and how we need, sometimes for part of this work, we need more than one other person to be helping, to be holding us up and witnessing us, and and that and that also part of our own process is to be able to hold up and witness others as they are also doing similar work, right? There is a true beauty, I believe, in group work. I have facilitated groups both in person and online for 6 years, 6 or 7 years now. It's been a while. I really don't remember. And my in-person work has mostly been facilitating grief work with families where a parent, co-parent, adult partner has died. We also did some sibling loss and other work too. and to be able to watch the community grow within each group who had similar and yet their own unique and different types of losses can be really, it was very powerful for me and truly made me see how important group work really is, that we need community as much as we do. And I talked about that a little bit in the first video when I talked about Maslow's hierarchy and that sense of belonging, right? And that sense of belonging is very much a part of our process for grief work. I also believe for some trauma work, some aspects of our trauma work, and for our process of really connecting to ourself and ourselves, right? Our whole self. And I've been doing this, doing circles online for, like I said, about 6 years now, in various forms, and it's evolved over time, and all of that. And I have seen some really amazing and powerful work that has happened in that sort of online community space. And the way that I do that now is, or the way I'm doing it for this circle, and in theory, moving forward, is, and have done in the past, is that the way that our online community will gather is actually on Zoom, on calls, on live video calls, about 3 times a month, average-ish. And for each of the 6 months that we're together. And then we will also have a space on Facebook that will be really only to check in kind of between calls, just to connect with each other and stay connected, so that we can keep our check-ins on the calls just a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit, and have that space for us to interact in between. There will be a weekly email that everybody gets that will have an essay and or a video from me that will have a stream of conscious writing prompts, that will have creativity work prompts, that will encourage us to dig into the work, and then the calls will be the discussion. We're also going to have an in-person retreat as part of this work that will be happening on November 3rd, 4th, 5th. It's Friday, Saturday, yes, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Sorry, my calendar is right over there. That's why I'm looking that way. November 3rd, 4th, and 5th here in Seattle. And during those 3 days, we will, of course, build our community that much more, because while I deeply love online space and the work that we do online and think that it is incredibly valuable, there is nothing like connecting in person, right? And getting to hug people and or not hug people if we aren't huggers, and to be sharing actual space and breathing the same air. It helps to create a bit of a stronger bond. Although I've seen incredibly strong bonds with only online space. So, right, I am not discounting. And there is some of the work that I want us to be doing together in this circle that we can really only do in person, and together in community. So there's that, right? So that was talking a lot about the circle, and a little bit about why I am offering this in the format that I am. This is, of course, work that could be done individually. I could just send out the emails and say, go be good. And I think that we miss out. Both the group misses out from the individual's input, and the individual misses out from having the support and witnessing of the group. And so, to join and be a part of this, there is an expectation of participation, be that you know, making as many of the calls as you can. Of course, you know, given the reality of life, that I don't have an expectation for everyone to make every call, because shit happens, right? Life happens. That is the way it works, like it or not. And I and I want to make sure that you can make at least most of them, and also to do the weekly check-ins in the Facebook group, just to say, hi, I'm here, this is where I'm at. And it's a pretty brief format, that the way that I do it, or it can be brief, it can be as long as you want it to be, and that will be it for the Facebook quote online piece, is that just that weekly check-in kind of between calls, just to bring us back together, reconnect, um, and be that form of community, and to have a space to go in and ask for support, and then also have that space where we can also offer support. Okay. Again, this is part of Maslow's, you know, that third tier, that belonging, that having that space where we do feel like we belong, where we feel like we are accepted as we are, who we are, where we can ask questions, where we can say, nope, I don't want to do that, where we can be in that space of yes, no, maybe, I don't know, right? Wherever we are. I do have 3 rules for holding the space, both on our video calls. They will be in place during our in-person retreat, and are in place in our online space also. And they are that we don't give advice, because advice giving is not helpful, actually. And I have a whole video and essay about that I will link to on the blog. We don't, everything that's said is confidential. Confidentiality. We don't share anything that's said by another person within the circle, outside of the circle. And then we don't compare life experiences. So while certainly some people have had more traumatic experiences in life than others, while we all have a different experience of our white supremacist, patriarchal, misogynist, homophobic, you know, blah, blah, blah culture, and that some actually do have a worse experience than others, we get to embrace all of our experiences and not question them, and to feel that our own experience is valid, right? It is valid. So that is how I hold that container, is with those 3 guidelines, rules, covenants, whatever you want to call them, right? So that's what I got for you today. This is the last video, number 5. Aren't you excited? I'm excited. I would love for you to join us. Again, the link to the more details about the circle, and to request an application is down below somewhere, depending on where you're seeing this. And if you have any questions, please reach out and ask, because I would love to answer them. And that's it. Okay. Sending lots of love and hugs, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.